Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to round number 3 of the Digital Motorsport Porsche Cayman Cup in association with Porsche Centre Dublin. We had a fantastic round last time out with Oscar Mangan providing another fantastic drive to come through from the back of the grid. Not quite to take the win, but secure his place at the top of the championship. And a brand new winner in Valentinas Marchenkovas brings us into Brands Hatch with the prospect of another new winner. So alongside me, as always, is Sam Fitzpatrick, Sam and the Kuma working on the cameras. So today, Sam, of course, we're here at Brands Hatch. We've been here before in the TCRs, and we did see some chaos last season, but I think we're hoping for something a little bit cleaner, and I think these cars provide that.
Yeah, I think so. Should be a fun car track combination, I imagine, around this place. Could be some issues at the starts of the race, of course. The paddock hill and Druids as well can cause a few issues. It is quite a narrow circuit, this, but once they get into the flow of this circuit, I think it should be a great race. Tricky to overtake. There's really only 1 or 2 overtaking opportunities, so we could see some really tight racing out there.
And of course, so Oscar Mangan 30 points clear at the top of the standings as we arrive here in Brands Hatch with Brian McManus behind him in second place. And remember, there is a Pro-Am and a Pro Class, but it is an overall standings. There is no class split in that one. So the blue on the left-hand side on the timing tower is for the Pro-Am class, and the red designates the Pro Class. So right now it's Diarmuid Toomey leading at the moment on a 138.6. Peter McCann second, who hasn't really set a representative lap time, as we are now watching Diarmuid Toomey heading down the back of the circuit, the downhill into this really high speed. It's not quite as fast-paced as the Formula 3, for example, but it's still, even in a car like the GT4, Sam, it's still quite thrilling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so many high-speed corners around this place, and with the grass as well, how slippery it is on this new tyre model. It's you're really flirting with danger every time you go through any of these corners. You cannot afford to dip a wheel onto the grass, otherwise that can easily be your race ruined. So you got to push as hard as possible around these bank corners, but push it a little bit too hard and you're in big trouble. The reason why we saw those couple of drivers near the front, why we saw Toomey so far up, was because his pit stall is so far back, it's so early on the pit lane, that his outlap counted as a lap. So that only happened with a couple of drivers, hence why they set their time so much earlier than everyone else. But now everyone has put in a lap time, seemingly, and Toomey, unfortunately for him, has slipped a bit far down the order in 20th place. Now Mangan goes to the top 2 tenths of a second clear out in the lead, and of course these drivers do get 3 more laps, so still 2 more laps for these drivers to set. And I do hope for Toomey that his outlap doesn't get included as one of those 3 laps. That would be very bad.
Yeah, for sure. So Oscar Mangan leading, Adrian Campfield in second place. Then we have Brian McManus, Lewis Ward, Kyle Stevens, and then the pole position for the Pro-Am class is Simon Ramsire at the moment. Then Arturas Candelas, Tom Ingram, who we spoke to last week, and he's really enjoying the challenge of the GT cars. Then it's Rob Moore, Andrew Hopley, who we saw do really well last week, Jack Byrne, Tony Stack, Jess Martin, Harry McGovern, Pasquale De Lucia pops in there. Harry McGovern goes to 3rd place in the Pro class, Rob McManus behind. But it seems to be every single week, Oscar Mangan just seems so comfortable in these Porsches.
Yeah, we know that he's put in lots of hours in this car to do well in the Porsche support series. Of course, there's the World Championship main iRacing event on the road side, at least, with the Porsche Cup cars, and the GT4s are kind of as a support act to that. He's put in a lot of effort as man to be competitive in that series. But today he's not that far clear, and there goes Lewis Ward to the top of the stands. He was very strong in race 1 at Donington. Now can Mangan take back that position? This is his second and penultimate lap. Mangan goes back to the top, and look at that, 4 tenths of a second. That's much more like it. The tyres getting into their peak performance probably on this lap 2 and lap 3, and that is going to be an incredibly difficult benchmark to match.
That is an incredible lap time from Oscar Mangan. That's stating his authority. Arturas Candelas crosses the line. He goes 4 tenths behind, just a couple of hundredths behind Lewis Ward, who was the fastest man in free practice earlier in the week. So Lewis has got some pace in the car, but he's had to deal with Oscar Mangan. 130.777, 4 tenths faster than anybody. Arturas Candelas quickest of the Pro-Am. Andrew Hopley right behind him. We saw him really well last week as well. Adrian Campfield, then McGovern, McGovern, Ramsar, Moore, McManus and Ingram inside the top 10. Slowly getting up to speed is Tom Ingram. And DeLucia pops in there. McGovern goes into 4th place, now 3rd in the pro class. Arias Humantas, and then Campfield goes quickest, 130.74 for Adrian Campfield. He's looking pretty nifty in these cars as Adrian Campfield. Now we look at the 2nd place man in the championship, Brian McManus, and Sam, it's crucial he gets a good spot on the grid.
Yeah, wants to put the pressure on Mangan as much as possible. Managed to take a couple of points, or need to take a couple of points out of him at Brands Hatch. And McManus goes 3rd. That's a really strong time, only half a tenth of a second. Look at that. I was thinking that Mangan's lap time would be far too good, and yet many drivers have got very close to it. Mangan himself is now approaching Jim Clark Bend at the moment for the final time, and he will be desperate for this pole position. Can he do it?
Wow.
Yes, he can. Improves by another 0.3 of a second. He improved by about 0.9 of a second across those 3 laps. That is absolutely mighty from Mangan, and just has the edge on everyone. It seems Hopley looks like he's going to steal the amateur pole. Quite late on, Kundalis was ahead for a while, but Hopley's been able to put in a really strong final lap time.
Yeah, impressive performance there from Ronan Hederman as well in P7, and 3rd place in the Pro-Am class. Nice lap from Ronan. 0.7 of a second off of Oscar, which is, when you say the caliber of Oscar Mangan, that's not bad at all. Adrian Campfield doing really well. McManus in 3rd, just a couple of hundredths off. So McManus is still in with a good chance. We look at the winner of the feature race last week, Valentinas Marchenkovas. Where's he going to go on the grid now? He comes across the line and he's going to jump up to 10th place. Good lap from Valentinas. And he's been really on a high after last week, after winning for the very, very first time. It's always special, Sam, when you get your first win in the championship, but especially when you get one in a grid of this caliber.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of winning, I can't really talk about that. I don't know what it feels like. But he did really well. Of course, he finished, I think, in 19th place in race 1. Then managed to drop, so he starts in 2nd place for race 2 because we have a reverse grid of 20 cars. He then dropped back in race 2 down to about 6th place, had to make himself back up. And once he got into the lead, there was no stopping him. He won by about 8 seconds, which even for Oscar Mangan, that's a pretty large margin. And Marchenkovas managed to pretty much match that. So in 10th place, though, 1.1 seconds off the pace, a little bit further than we would have expected, but he's certainly going to be one to watch. And of course, this reverse grid of 20, the closer you are to that 20, the better chance you got come race 2. So it could still be a good solid haul of points for Marchenkovas today.
Yeah, looking really good anyway. And of course, we speak about Marchenkovas' win, and we have to talk about Oscar Mangan, who was in the gravel trap in the feature race and drove from 35th all the way back up to a podium, which was quite something as he went through the field. But Mangan gets pole position, and Campfield alongside him. McManus, his championship rival, is 3rd. Then the pole in the Pro-Am class goes to Andrew Hopley in 4th, and then Lewis Ward in 5th. Arturas Candelas and Ronan Hederman. Then Kyle Stevens, Harry McGovern, and Valentinas Marchenkovas round out your top 10. Then it's Pat Masterson, Simon Ramsar, Adam Dowling, then Tom Ingram. Inside that top 15 with Rob Moore, then Arias Humantas, Pascali DeLucia, Willie Pigeon, Ian Malone, Mark Burney, Sergey Graben, Jess Martin, and Dennis Melcher. Dennis, of course, last week had a bit of a torrid time. He was up there fighting for a podium and then got himself embroiled in a number of incidents. And I believe, was it last week, the classic Barry Barrable and Melcher instance where they became attached together?
Yes. The esports. No, I mean, to be fair, we can't really be harsh on iRacing because they've just announced a couple of really great things. So we're not going to be excessively harsh. So that was quite comical. And hopefully we don't see it again. I have seen it since, which is a bit worrying. So if T cars do merge together, don't question it.
Absolutely. Of course, the new damage model just coming into effect. But anyways, we're getting underway for heat race number 1. And we're then going to, of course, have the reverse grid with the top 20 inverted this time around. So it's Mangan, then Campfield, McManus, Hopley, Ward, Candelas, Hederman, Stevens, McGovern, and Marchenkovas, your top 10. We've seen plenty of action in Druids over the course of these Digital Motorsports Championships, especially in the TCR when we were here last season. Always a classic. Drivers have 2 minutes to grid up on the grid, and course, anybody watching at home, take this time to subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, subscribe to Apex Racing TV, and to keep up to date with the Digital Motorsports Championship as we head to the final 2 rounds in the coming weeks. We look back at the further down the group: James Wingfield, Barry Barble, Nathan Healy, Aaron Kerry. And you can see how long the grid goes, curving round the last corner as Mangan grids up. I think we're almost ready to go now, with Mangan and Campfield towards the first corner. Here we go. Let's see who's going to come out on top in heat race number 1. The lights are on. It is lights out, and away we go. A great start from Mangan and a good one from Campfield on the outside as well. McManus looking to capitalise on the inside of Campfield, heading towards turn 1. He's not able to get there, and a great start from Mangan. A good start from Campfield coming through turn 1. It's McManus followed by Hopley very close. He gets a bit sideways on the exit. Then Ward, Candelas, Hederman, Stevens, McGovern, and Marchenkovic all being nice and sensible coming through Druids for the very first time. No big problems for drivers. Very clean start from the guys there, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely superb driving.
Well, I'd say that.
Oh dear, and now we have got a spin. Yep, it's the car number 4 of McManus spinning round, and of course got Hedeman as well. Hedeman was such a good start as well. Lewis Ward has gone off the circuit. Maybe he was the one who made contact originally, and Keith Rabbit as well. Got a few incidents down there, and off the circuit again is Ward. Terrible start for him, and then we got another one. So, well, that's on you, Jack.
I'm so sorry. That's the biggest commentary curse I've done in a long time. Anyway, we go back to the front. Mangan, Campfield, Candelas, Stevens now up to 4th place. Kyle Stevens with a brilliant start there. Andrew Hopley, then it's McGovern, Marchenkovic, Simon Ramsire as well up in 8th place. Really nice job from Simon. Then Adam Dowling and Pat Masterson, Tom Ingram, Pigeon, Moore, Bernie, and Tom Ingram makes up a spot there up the inside. There goes Tom, who's also very experienced around Brands Hatch, having driven the BTCC around here many times over the years, getting used to these GT4 cars. Really lashed onto the back now, Adam Dowling and Simon Ramsay. But after lap 1, we now ride on board with Tom Ingram, who's more used to a Toyota Corolla than a big GT4 Porsche. But here we go through the last corner. Got a good run on Adam now, is heading towards turn number 1 into Paddock Hill for the second time. It's Mangan from Campfield still, who's nearly a second quicker than Campfield on that lap. But on here comes Tom Ingram down the inside of Paddock Hill, fighting the car on the inside. Lovely move. Tom Ingram gets it stopped up the inside. Oh, gets a little touch in the rear on the way out, keeps it in check as they come up towards Druids, covers off Adam Dowling as well. Proper good racing there between the boys, and Tom Ingram makes up a spot to 9th place, and that is that's Jess Martin off the road on the exit of Paddock Hill. That's a shame for her. But yeah, really nice move from Tom Ingram there, not taking any prisoners.
How strange it is to see Tom Ingram at the front of a race at the start of a race. I mean, this is unheard of. He always starts in 40th place and then gets himself back up into the top 10 by the end of the race, but actually stays giving himself a fighting chance of a decent result, which is absolutely fantastic. And look at him, he's already up to the back of the next driver. He's some BTCC tactics as well with the flashing of the lights. Simon Ramsay will be the next one to get past. We did see one of the Team Mad drivers, Jess Martin, spinning round before. Also, a few others that dropped down on the first lap. Rob O'Neill, Rory O'Shea, Brian McManus, Lewis Ward, Gavin Colozzi, Argius Yomantis, Sergei Graben. Oh, and off is McGovern from 11th place, and he's going to have to let the entire field go now.
Harry McGovern was right up in the top 5 there, so McGovern drops it in Surtees now. And now it's Mangan from Campfield. I think Tom Ingram has just made the spot on Ramsar as well, so Tom Ingram moves to 8th place now. Yeah, he has got that done. Simon Ramsar running on his brand new Fanatec gear that he just picked up, so he's getting used to the equipment, but not doing a bad job is Simon in the Pro-Am class. He's currently sitting 4th in that class, but he's getting hounded now by Adam Dowling right on his rear in the VRA racing car, heading up towards Druids for the 3rd time. Gets very late on the brakes. Of course, ABS and traction control in these cars as well. Everyone on a fixed setup as well. But now we'll see Tom Ingram in 7th place, chasing after
nice.
Oh no! Oh dear, in Druids.
Don't see that.
Oh dear, that's not what we want to see. Thomas Series and I think that's Rob Moore in the gravel. Yeah, that's not what we want to see. 2 cars facing each other in Druids. That's not ideal. But will come through. That's Willie Pigeon coming through there, and Sergio grabbing around the outside. Diarmuid Toomey making his way through as well. But Druids claims another victim as we head through the top of the hill, 3 abreast as Sergio Graben goes off the road now as well, and it's all going wrong. I thought lap 1 was gonna be cleaner than that, but we're coming through lap 3. The drivers sorting themselves out now, and of course it's extremely narrow around here in Brands Hatch, so when something goes wrong, it's almost a chain reaction, Sam.
Yeah, we saw that on the first lap as well, didn't we? By the way, it's really close between Hopley and Kundeles. I believe Hopley got past Kundeles on this lap, or maybe he's just been defending. I think they've swapped positions already, and they're still extremely close. There they are in 3rd and 4th. Hopley did start ahead, but I think he may have overtaken on that last lap. Yeah, 1.2 seconds faster was Hopley. Certainly indicates that case. Andrew Watson, who isn't assigned to a class, it seems. He's still driving very well, up into 13th place now, around the outside of Melcher. He drops down slightly, and now Melcher might lose another place to Malone here, down into turn 2, and he does just get pushed slightly wide. That does carry good speed around the outside there through Druids, but not quite enough for him, but does get back into the racing line eventually. By the way, these guys are now 20 seconds off the lead of this race, which is a very big gap after just 3 and a bit laps.
Exactly. Got to give Sergey Grabham some props there for driving so long with the bonnet up. That was really impressive from Sergey, a long-time driver in digital motorsports. But yeah, good car control. I think he's still circulating. It's still up. So this is Sergey Grabham driving with the bonnet up. Makes an overtake as well. Go on, Sergey. Good job from him. Flash the lights from Rory O'Shea in the background. But yeah, this is quite something. This is probably one of the best drives you're ever going to see, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the spinner in front as well. That's McGovern around again. And Jess Martin again, I think, involved in that one. So there's even more carnage on the exit. I think they possibly could have come together there. But they get going, trying to get going again. But yeah, Oscar Mangan is just having no problems out front, setting fastest lap of the race, 1:30.4. I think I'm pretty sure that's close enough to his pole time. That's really impressive from Oscar Mangan.
Yeah, pretty much matching it. Melcher has gone off the circuit, by the way. He's dropped a lot of places down outside the top 30, and Powerful also with a small off. Yeah, Powerful's had an off as well, although it's Powerful. So I don't know if there's maybe been a secondary collision with them, but that's a lot of damage now for Barry. He needs to get back going. So that's not Rob Barrable, is it?
It's Barry Barrable, I think that's involved in that one.
Yeah, I didn't realise they were brothers or related.
I found out actually Barry Barrable is Rob Barrable's uncle. So that's I had to figure it out. Barry did message me just to make sure. So thanks, Barry. But yeah, so it's uncle and nephew in this one. So we finally got that cleared up. But Oscar Mangan out in front in this first heat race. Remember, the top 20 will get inverted. So 20th place will start on pole for the reverse grid. Oscar Mangan, of course, going to have to drive from 20th if he holds on to this. We now look at Andrew Hopley, who's leading the Pro-Am class, with Arturas Kandelis right behind him in 2nd place. That is the battle for position in that one. Kyle Stevens in 5th, Valentinas Marchenkova 6th, Tom Ingram still circulating well in 7th place. Simon Ramsar, then Adam Dowling and Pat Masterson are your top 10s. Tom Ingram not quite on the back of this train yet, but lapping quite nicely. And Tom continuing to set good lap times, 1:30.5, 1:30.6. So it's still, Adrian is still setting some really nice lap times, but Oscar just getting enough on him. And again, Andrew Hopley in the Pro-Am class is also matching their pace out front, but because they're so evenly matched, Campfield can just do nothing about it.
Yeah, Mangan, this has probably been the closest that Campfield's got all season, I think, compared to certainly Silverstone, where Mangan was approximately about a second lap faster in race 1 than Campfield. I think even at Donington as well, he wasn't nearly this close, but he's doing really well now. Don't know if we could get an on-board with Grabham. I don't know why Sam Kuma hasn't already done this, to be honest, but we want to see his view. Unfortunately, I can't see this. His bonnet is fine for me, but I'm sure you view as well, I'm trying to see what he's seeing.
Yeah, it's totally fine on my end as well, so I'm assuming it's probably fine on his end, but still, we're not going to take anything away. If his bonnet is up, then Sergey Grabham is being an absolute hero right this. But we look back from Tony Stack, who's getting chased by Sergey at the moment in the number 22. But so yeah, and the bonnet is back in place, and Sergey continues around. So either way, it was still fantastic that he's even still circulating after driving with that bonnet up is really impressive. So it's apparently still up, but yeah, so it's sorting itself out for a lot of us. And yeah, Sergey's still circulating around with that bonnet up apparently. So fair play to Sergey, he's still circulating. And Oscar Mangan, another fast lap of the race, 1:30.1. But I don't think Oscar, even with the dominant drive today, I don't think he's going to get driver today. It's going to go to Sergey, hands down, no battles whatsoever.
Driver of the season, I think, is going his way. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal driving to show off that little bit of the damage. Well, iRacing will be loving this, showing it off.
Just a quick note, Sam, actually, just to cut across there. Just Sergey is also driving in VR, so this is probably something special. I wonder if he's actually able to lean out of the window to kind of see where he's going in the VR. But Sergey's still going. He hasn't put it in the wall yet, and it's still so impressive. Now we look at Kyle Stevens, who's under pressure from last week's winner, Valentin Smarchenkovic, and Tom Ingram and Simon Ramsar. Simon Ramsar is really right on Tom Ingram here as they come through this corner. And Simon, of course, as we mentioned earlier, on his brand new Fanatec gear. And of course, if you've never driven direct drive before, it's a massive adaptation to jump from a basic wheel to a Fanatec. And he's doing an excellent job. So he's shown that he's got pace, as Simon, and he's chasing after Tom Ingram. And Adam Dowling going with him as well. There's a car stopped. There's Barry Barble stopped on the inside on the grass. And we had Simon doing really well now following Tom Ingram. And Tom is actually catching this battle for 5th place. So can we see Tom Ingram qualify well and finish well?
Yeah, it's so strange. And of course his connection is letting Ingram down a little bit at the moment. But if anything, I think it's putting off Ramsay just behind him. So tricky to follow anyway around this circuit, and when you've got the car in front of you glitching in and out, it's so tricky to keep your concentration, because like I said earlier on, it's almost like Rainbow Road off Mario Kart, I think, where if you do just go slightly off, then it's absolutely disastrous, because you have got so much grass around this track, which is ever so slippery. So it's really annoying when you got that car glitching in and out, and you can see Ingram still having some problems there, but it's still got good pace. At the moment, Stevens just dropping back into Marchenkovic, who of course was so impressive at Donington last time up. Maybe a little bit of underwhelming qualifying here today, but still driving very well in the race. By the way, Andrew Watson is up 34 places. Not sure if you've commented on this yet, Jack, but Watson up 34 places. No surprise, that's the most out of anyone in the field, and that's even rivaling some of Ingram's performances so far this season.
That's incredibly impressive from Andrew Watson. And he's on the back of Pat Marston. So can he make it 35 places gain to get inside the top 10? So starting 35, he started from the back of the grid, like very, very back of the grid. And he's made it through up to 11th place, which is a good result in itself. And he's now caught Pat Marston. He's going to be able to make a move into 13. He's going to think about it, going to go show himself in the mirrors on the inside, coming through the left-hander. And coming down towards the last corner, and Simon Ramsar, I don't know if he's had a problem, but I think we've lost him. Simon Ramsar, who was doing so well, has dropped out and is no longer taking any further part in this race. Now here comes Andrew Watson to make it 36 places gain now up the inside of Pat Marston, heading towards Pat Kilben, moves into 9th place now with Simon Ramsar's retirement. What a performance. Andrew Watson into 9th, 36 places up. He goes a little bit wide, but can Pat Marston come back at him here on the inside of Druids now? I don't think so, but Andrew Watson putting on a hell of a display, rivaling Tom Ingram, as he said, up 36 spots from where he started, and he's inside the top 10 firmly in 9th place.
Definitely. I was watching it. Anyone who subscribed to the F1 YouTube channel, there was a video of Nicky Lauda's best drives, and of course him and Watson famously drove up at Long Beach, I believe it was, from 23rd place. I think Watson won that race, and I think he'd be quite pleased of his compatriot surname, driving quite as well as he is at the moment. It's absolutely storming. Do you think the race wins a little bit far away? It certainly has gained a lot of places. Max Birney is in 11th place. Birney has gained a few places himself, up 9. He's still ahead of Ian Malone, however he does seem to be the slowest out of these drivers. In that last lap he did a 32.99. That's 2.5 seconds slower than the race leaders, and the drivers behind him all seem to be about a second lap faster. Ian Malone actually got past Vernon Henderman. Or Hedemans, apologies, on that last lap. I don't know how Hedemans is doing so well, to be honest, because he did spin, I believe, on the first lap, or at least had an off, but he's still got a good position, and this would be a very good place to finish, because you're going to be decently high up for the reverse grid, so they've messed it up, guys.
Exactly, so Ronan trying to recover. He started 7th on the grid, and he's now into 13th place. And just now having a look at Ian Malone on the inside, heading towards Paddock Hill. Ian Malone trying to get past Mark Burney. We now ride on the front of Ian Malone's car, heading towards Druid. He looks to the inside, goes very late on the brake, shows himself not quite close enough. Mark covers that line on the way out. Hug the karting line and you'll be fine through Druids. And now down towards, and I think Tom Ingram, is that another place gained for Tom Ingram? Up past Valentinas Marchenkovas into 6th place. So now we continue on this battle, and we see, yeah, Tom Ingram has done it, and he's made it past Marchenkovas, and now chasing Kyle Stevens. Marchenkovas, I think, dropped back and has had an issue or something, because he's dropped back into the touches of Adam Dowling as well. It's possibly an off for Marchenkovas, but Tom Ingram into 6th, and on the cusp of a top 5 in this first heat race. We're on lap 10 of 12. Kyle Stevens holding on well there in 5th place. He's 4 seconds off the back of Arturas Condelis and Andrew Hopley, who are battling for the lead in the Pro-Am. But yeah, this is going to be, I think, a slight problem for Kyle Stevens. As you can see, Tom Ingram's car is popping in and out, and that is extremely difficult to battle with.
Yeah, he might even appear suddenly in front of his rival potentially, especially if he makes a mistake, does Condelis, but apologies, does Stevens. But it was odd because Ingram wasn't that close to Marchenkovas before, was he? And he wasn't making necessarily that much progress, and all of a sudden he's kicked it into another gear seemingly, and he's absolutely storming along. 31.28, he would come up on our overlay, I think, from that time, did Ingram, because he was probably glitching out across the start-finish line. But yeah, it was a 31.28, I believe, so another half a second faster. And that's even faster than the race leader, in fact. By the way, Mangan just lost a second and a half out in the lead. I don't think it's an issue for him, but just a small excursion, maybe running slightly offline. But gap down to 1.6 seconds now.
We have an interesting battle here for the lead in Pro-Am. Andrew Hopley and Arturas Condelis have been inseparable for the entire race, and they're still together here. Condelis just half a second off the back of him here as they head through the back of the circuit here. Hopley leading this one, and on the podium for now, that's Tony Stack up ahead of them, who's a lapped car trying to get himself out of the way, and he does. Condelis going to follow through as well. Tony gets himself well out of the way. And they continue on their way. About to start the final lap, by the way, lap 11 of 12. We're also going on to lap 12 with Oscar Mangan out in the lead by a margin of 1.3 seconds ahead of Adrian Campfield. So they've held position the whole way through this race. Andrew Hopley and Arturas Condelis are your leaders in Pro-Am, and they're 3rd and 4th. Kyle Stevens and Tom Ingram, Valentinas Marchenkovas, Adam Dowling, Andrew Watson and Pat Mostyn. And we now look back at this battle with Hayderman, Malone and Burney. Mark Burney still holding on to this 11th place, and currently actually in that reverse grid pole is Maguire and Umantis on the front row. So now we continue looking at Hederman and Peter McCann on the back of them as well. So let's see who can get this one. But Burney's holding on quite well here.
No, he's doing really well. Seems to have almost got an extra bit of pace. So to Hederman, after getting overtaken by Malone a few laps ago, if anything, he looks like the fastest out of the 3 of them. And Burney just gapping these drivers now. Maybe Malone's going to have to go more defensive against Hederman than he is going to be able to go on the attack. That's a good run through turn 1, and he showed the nose into turn 2, but that's his best opportunity. Probably gone. It's going to have to be a very brave move from here on in if he's going to get close enough for a move. Just wondering if there's any other battles. We've got Atkins, Montero and Ward relatively close to one another. Hederman, well, he might go for a slight surprise move there because he takes such a wide entry into that corner. It's also pretty close between Umantis and Maguire. But as here is Montero actually trying to defend against Ward after that poor start for Ward, and it looks as though he's made up another place. If Ward finishes here, would be on 5th position for the reverse grid.
So it's all crucial, and Tom Ingram, I think, has gone out. Yeah, he's lost places. I think he was battling with Kyle Stevens, and they've dropped all the way back. Meanwhile, Oscar Mangan, he's won. He's that far ahead. Oscar Mangan wins heat race 1. Adrian Campfield right on his tail, 130.3 for the both of them across the line. Andrew Hopley's going to hold off to win Pro-Am. Condelis and Stevens going to hold on for 5th place. Then Marchenkovas, then Tom Ingram and Adam Dowling super close across the line, but Tom Ingram just gets him on the line. Adam Dowling, Andrew Watson, round of applause, 36 places up. And Mark Burney, is he going to be able to hold on? And he is going to be able to hold on here for 11th place. Holds off Ian Malone, holds off Ronan Hederman, and holds off Peter McCann in the background, who crosses the line in 14th place. Liam Atkins, Lewis Ward, I think, is going to be the next one as they come across the line very close together. Liam Atkins, Lewis Ward, then João Monteiro, Thomas Series, then Arias Umantis, and Maguire is going to be your pole sitter. Have a look at this one. This is a bit crazy. Down this is 26th, 27th, 28th. We're looking at here Dennis Melchert, then McCarthy, Jack Byrne, Sergey Grabin is a little way further up the road, and Sergey is going to cross the line and gets the drive of the season already. That's just not even an argument. Comes across the line. There is Sergey crossing the line in 25th place, driving across the line with his bonnet up. Unbelievable. It might not have been on his end, but still it looks incredibly impressive on stream. And James Wingfield behind, Dennis Melcher, then McCarthy, and so these bonnets up and down, and obviously the catch is gone on it or something. So Sergey still manages to cross the line even with that bonnet, and no question whatsoever, I think Niall, the organizer, needs to get Sergey a prize immediately.
Absolutely. Maybe you could get him a bonnet attached, if anything, or just like a lead weight or something for race. So I think that's all he needs. Can't wait to see how he does when he can actually see the circuit.
Absolutely. So here's your official Heat Race 1 results. Oscar Mangan, not by much. Adrian Campfield's got some serious pace in that car. 1.7 seconds behind. Andrew Hopley then wins Pro-Am by just a margin of 0.2 of a second over Arturas Candelas. Kyle Stevens holds off Valentinas Marchenkovic and the advances of Tom Ingram. Adam Dowling finishes behind Andrew Watson, then Pat Masterson, Mark Birney, Ian Malone, Ronan Hederman, Peter McCann, Liam Atkins, Lewis Ward, Jean Montero. Then your top three for the reverse grid. Thomas Series, Arius Montes, and David Maguire will be on pole position. Brian McManus, who we saw starting third place, and also he's in the championship battle, don't forget, and he finishes 21st, unfortunately. Niall Murray, Keith Rabbit, Rory O'Shea, Sergey Grabin. I mean, what can you say? 25th with the bonnet up is still incredibly impressive. James Wingfield, Dennis Melcher, Michael McCarthy, Jack Byrne, Rob Moore, Gavin Cullity, Jess Martin, Harry McGovern, Dave Collier, Diarmuid Toomey, Tony Stack, Willie Pigeon, Rob O'Neill, Aaron Kerry, Simon Ramsar. What a shame for him who's having such a great run. Nathan Healy, Barry Barwell, Pascale De Lucia, Andrew Perzo, Wayne Douglas, all these guys involved in lap 1 incidents. Not unfortunate for those guys, but Wayne Douglas down the back. Andrew Perzo in 44th and 45th place. We have a quick 3-minute warm-up, which we're almost at the end of. But Oscar Mangan, I mean, this is almost like Keith Dempsey style driving like we saw last season in the TCR car. I would love to see Keith versus Oscar on track next season, I think, Sam, because these guys have incredibly dominant displays. If you get the two of them on the track, I think it could be incredibly close.
Yeah, so very much a what's if, how competitive would Keith be? No disrespect to Keith, because I've seen him in a couple of other states and he's always very competitive. But I think in this car, I think the advantage would be to Oscar. However, in the TCR, maybe the advantage would be to Keith. So it's very difficult to tell, to be honest. Maybe we need like another car. Maybe we jump into the McLaren MP4-30. First people to step in that car for about 3 years, I imagine those guys would be. But no, it's really competitive. But credit to Campfield. I mean, no one has pushed Mangan that close in a race 1 so far this season. Not nearly that close. And last week I was kind of expecting, as long as Mangan didn't get involved in a first lap shunt, which obviously he ended up doing so. But I was thinking that he could probably get a win, certainly a podium. I'm not so sure about it today. I think it's going to be tight between him and Campfield, and I think there's a couple of other drivers as well who'll be starting further down the order, but should be very good, or sort of finish further down the order in race 1, but should be very competitive through race 2.
Exactly, so the warm-up ends or the cool-down ends, we head to the reverse grid, and David Maguire will start on pole position for this one for the first time, and it will be very, very close to Debra. So it's going to be interesting to see Campfield and Mangan coming through the field. Dave Maguire, Arius Montes, your top two. Thomas Series, Jean Montero, Lewis Ward, who was unfortunate in race 1. Watch out for him. He's very, very quick. Liam Atkins, Peter McCann, Ronan Hederman, Ian Malone, and Mark Birney. Then Pat Masterson, Andrew Watson, who started 36 places further down in race number 1. But, Adam Dowling, Tom Ingram, Valentinas Marchenkovic, Kyle Stevens, Arturas Candelas, Andrew Hopley, Adrian Campfield, and Oscar Mangan, the ones to watch, starting from 19th and 20th on the grid, respectively. They've got their work cut out to get through the field. Brian McManus, Niall Murray, Keith Rabbit, and Rory O'Shea are your 24 cars on the field at the moment, with a total of 45 cars starting in this grid. Then Sergey, let's hope his bonnet stays in place this time. James Wingfield, Dennis Melcher, Michael McCarthy, Jack Byrne, and Rob Moore, your top 30. And further down, starting at the back, are Andrew Perzo and Wayne Douglas. They've got extreme work to do from the back of the grid. Here we go. Round number 3, the Digital Motorsports Porsche Cayman Cup is about to get underway. And that's a good start, Maguire. But not a great one from Yamantis, and a good one from Thomas Series from the second row as well as they head towards turn number 1. Series looking on the inside already, but gets covered off by Yamantis into turn 1. Lewis Ward losing out as they head through turn number 1, and looks like Maguire holds on. Yamantis, Series, Ward, McCann looking up the inside of Jean Montero now as they head through Druid's corner for the first time. Can they keep it clean? They do indeed. It's coming through as well. Hederman gets a good start as well. So Jean Montero has not had a good getaway up the inside. Mark Burney fighting with Adam Dowling. Tom Ingram trying to come through as well. Watson, Marchenkovic, how have our leaders done? Camfield still in 19th, and Mangan has dropped a place to Brian McManus. So those guys are all together. They're all the championship leaders all together. But Camfield has come out on top in that one as he now fights his way to fighting with Andrew Hopley. This is getting very close. There's a car on the grass there to try to fight it out. We now look at Camfield and Stevens, who are side by side heading down the hill. That is Brian McManus behind, and Oscar Mangan is having to hang back and watch as they fight it out here. McManus is in front of him, but it's all crucial for championship points. McManus needs a good race here, but he's got Mangan to worry about. He's trying to cover him off. Mangan back up the inside now, gets it stopped, but Mangan losing out, and I think that could be crucial because we know Camfield has got the pace to pull away.
Yeah, almost front of the quick guys now. A little bit of a tap, I think, potentially on the back of Mangan. Awful start for Ingram. He went off the circuit and he's glitching out so much, is Ingram. You'll see him flickering in and out. So really tricky on this opening lap off the circuit. There was that Masterson, I think, just dropping a few places. He's still dropping places down to 23rd place. You can see a few guys already hands to toe back some pits. Malone and Heedman, we know that they were starting very close to one another. Maybe they've jumped the start, I'm not quite sure, but certainly Malone, you're having to peel off into the pits. It's still Maguire, though, leading, but it's so close between the top 4 and Series, nearly being able to put a move on Ward. Oh, we've got big offs for Melcher and Moore, McCarthy and Collier. There's been a big wreck, I think, through turn 1, and they've all, I assume, sustained quite big damage.
It's unfortunate for those guys, but now we look at the top 3. David Maguire, Arias Humantas and Lewis Ward, who's arguably the quickest out of them, and that's a poor exit from your top 2. Lewis Ward goes through past Humantas already. He's already a car length in front. Can he get David Maguire now heading down the hill for the second time? But Ward moves to second, not quite close enough to get past Maguire this time, but he's obviously got a lot more pace than these guys up front, so it's a chance for Lewis Ward. He was fastest in free practice earlier this week, and he's got serious pace. He needs to get out in front and try and open the gap before any of the guys who've got similar pace get up close to him. He's got a solid opportunity here to grab a race win. This is exactly what Marchenkovic did last week, and he's got a good run heading towards Surtees. Gonna hang back for now and just try and maybe line up a move into Paddock Hill, I think, is his best opportunity. Yeah,
I think so. If he can get it done straight away, as you say, he's got an awesome chance. Only 20 laps in this feature. It's a bit longer than race 1, but it's still not excessively long. Only about, well, we might even reach the half an hour limit. We will reach the half an hour limit, I assume. So probably only bats for this race. Goes to the outside, makes Maguire go off the racing line now. Not quite the run that did miss the apex slightly at Paddock Hill. Now he dives down the inside for turn. Yeah, just needs to be a little bit more precise there, Ward. Every corner that he's staying behind Maguire, it's just an opportunity for the front runners. Mangan's off the circuit, by the way. Mangan, I think, might be stationary. There he is. Has he hit the wall? Has got the bonnet up? Always very slow.
I think that was on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. I think he might have lost it by himself. Let's see if we can see what happened here.
Oh, wow. Didn't see that.
Yeah, but it's in Paddock Hill nonetheless, and yeah, gets it back going, but that's going to really hurt him, and that's the second time in 2 successive weeks that the feature race has not gone to plan for Oscar Mangan. He had to come from the gravel trap on the feature race in Donington, and now spins in Paddock Hill Bend, has to get going again, but that's dropping in places, and it's losing him valuable championship points in the battle against Brian McManus, which is what he needs.
Yeah, and last time he had such a pace advantage that it didn't really matter when that happened, but today I don't think he's quite got that overhaul, and it's going to be more tricky as well, I think, to overtake on this occasion. And we're going to have to go back to the race lead, I imagine, but it is so close between Maguire and Ward. 3/10 of a second at the moment, separating the two of them. Maguire again goes defensive into 1. Now Ward gets a better run this time, but Maguire sends a lot of speed through Paddock Hill. He's very strong to that corner, and off the second, it's Series. He's just lost the rear end, and that's a massive shame for the driver who was in third place out of the amateur drive.
Yeah, trying to get the car going again with the traction control is not easy. Adrian Campfield, how about this for a drive? 9th place he's up to now, makes the move on Mark Burney. Niall Murray just in the background there as they come through the bottom hill. There's a spinner again, there's another, that's Mark Burney who spun it. I think he got a tap in the rear from somebody there, and he's trying to keep the car going, does do so, but now drops back to where he was. And now Lewis Ward, has he got it done? Heading down the hill, he's on the outside line. Maguire's going to stick his nose back up the inside. He goes round the outside. Can Ward stick it round the outside? Yes, he can. He's on the curb. Maguire's still there on the inside, but I think Ward is just enough. No, Maguire back down the inside, late on the brakes. Now Yamantis is up the inside, sideways from the Lithuanian driver that gets back on the power, but just not able to get back up the inside of Ward. Maguire is really defending very, very nicely here. Lewis Ward is unable to find it through. Maguire is driving the widest GT4 car out on track at the moment.
I've never seen a Maguire defend quite so well, it must be said. It's been terrific driving so far from him, and he is clearly very aggressive. A couple of times there, I think a lot of drivers would have backed out of it. However, he is going for the win or nothing. And he doesn't care if there is a bit of an incident, because he realizes this is one of his best opportunities at winning a race this season. But it's just holding all these guys up. It's going to invite the likes of Watson up to these drivers. 1.3 seconds. Watson was faster as he defends, and there's contact between the two of them. And what will go past? No, Diamantis goes past the pair of them, and dearie me, and they've merged together as well, I believe. And it's Diamantis who leads the race.
Wow, they come to blows. Maguire tried to defend it. Ward was on the inside, and the wheels came together and they locked wheels. And let's have a quick look at this again. Yeah, he actually ended up riding over the top of the wheel, and you can see that's it. Nothing he could do. They did become merged together, and Maguire couldn't move anywhere. Lewis Ward couldn't move anywhere. But now, out in front is Arius Jumantis, the Lithuanian driver, but now Andrew Watson, who, remember what he did in heat race number 1. He came from the very back of the grid to right up to the front, and now he's in with a chance of securing this race win, because he's been setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Peter McCann, by the way, on the podium at the moment. Tom Ingram is also in 4th place. So Tom Ingram is actually he's driving really, really well today, and I wouldn't put it past him for Tom Ingram if he's manages to keep up the pace at the moment, if he could grab a podium. But also, you got to watch out for the very, very lurking figure of Adrian Campfield, who's in 8th place and right on the back of Niall Murray here.
Campfield a long way ahead of his main championship rival at the moment, Oscar Mangan. So we're going to gain lots of places. I wonder what his mentality will be at the moment, whether he's willing to risk it quite as much. But that's going to be an easy move, I imagine, down into turn 1 on Murray. There he goes, past the driver coming out the pits as well. So up into 5th place now is Campfield. He is 6.6 seconds behind Diamantis with about 12 laps to go. So could be close.
Oscar Mangan in 16th place, fastest lap of the race from him in a 1:30.7. Himself and McManus are actually together, so McManus is not gaining too much points, because they've ended up on the same piece of road after all of that. And Mangan not having the best of runs out in the feature race for the second time. And here is Brian McManus. Mangan is 3.7, and now McManus looking up the inside of Jess Martin, coming up the hill. Not quite going to be able to get through there, but he needs to make his way up through the field, because again, it's another opportunity for McManus to close down a 30-point gap. Now, obviously, the heat race 1 is going to have dented it, but it's a great opportunity for Campfield, especially to gain points. Marchenkovic is also 3rd in the championship, don't forget. So Marchenkovic is in 8th, a little ways further up the road. So it'll be a points game for Marchenkovic if he can hold on to where he is. And now we look at Keith Rawat as he tries to fend off Rory O'Shea. Harry McGovern is also now up his inside as they come through. Jess Martin following through as well. And the number 36 car, Martin, not quite able to get through there. She hangs back from McManus. He's got to find some space here to work with. We head on to lap number 6 of 20. There's half an hour race in the feature race of the Digital Motorsports Porsche Cayman Cup. Rory O'Shea having to defend. Jess Martin up his inside. Quite unable to do it, but Jumantis out front, just a touch quicker than Andrew Watson behind. But Adrian Campfield, fastest lap of the race, in 5th place. He's nearly a second and a bit quicker than our leader. It's quite possible there's a big lunge from Rory O'Shea on Harry McGovern as they come through. A little bit of touch, maybe it's spinning into the path of Brian McManus, and off the road goes Harry McGovern. McManus just about survives, but Oscar Mangan has overtaken him now, and it's just going from bad to worse for our championship leaders.
Yeah, terrible for McManus. I was so unfortunate. Had no time to react whatsoever. Yeah, just getting a bit of context. However, this Brands Hatch circuit is not too dependent on straight line speed, so I think should be competitive to the end of the race. Campfield and Ingram, I think that's Campfield getting past Ingram, I believe, so up into 4th place. And Tom has been very responsible so far. We've seen him this season. I think he'll be quite happy just to stay behind. They'll work together to go catch up to the drivers ahead gap between 1st and 4th, now down to 6 seconds. And like I said, it should be about, we should get 19 laps in, I reckon. Oh, yeah. Maybe we might even get the 22, but we should actually get the 20 just. The timer will tick down. But yeah, we should get to 20 laps, so still 13 more laps to go.
It's going to be interesting because Watson's closed the gap to within 7/10 of a second. This lead battle, and there you can see Watson's flashing the lights. He's letting him know, I'm coming for you, Arias, as he comes across the line. 131.4, let's see the lap time, 130.9 for Andrew Watson. Personal best for Peter McCann, who's holding on to a really nice podium position, but he's getting caught by Adrian Campfield, who, of course, in that lap time is not representative. He was in the middle of a battle there. And now we see the lead battle. Andrew Watson trying his best for his first win. Numantis looking for his first win. So it's a crucial one for both of these guys to try and get this one, because neither of them are in the pro class or in the pro-am class. So they're in a totally separate one. They're arguably in the amateur class. And they're up in the lead 1 and 2 in this one. Pro class leader at the moment is actually Peter McCann in 3rd place. Adrian Campfield 2nd, and Tom Ingram in 3rd, and the leader of the Pro-Am class by a huge margin is Arturas Candelas. Jess Martin is 2nd, and Rory O'Shea 3rd in that one. And of course, the points are not split by class, so it'll all go in the way of an overall championship. But Andrew Watson looking quick at the moment, and this lead battle looking like it's going to go rage on for a little while longer. But they cannot afford to fight for too much longer, because when Adrian Campfield gets past Peter McCann, when he gets past Peter McCann, it's going to get really, really spicy, because I think Campfield's got a real shot at winning this one.
There's that old saying, isn't there, where you don't have to be faster than the enemy, but you just have to be faster than your friend. And that is what Watson, I imagine, will be thinking, that if he can get past Numantis, then Numantis will get caught and will lose a load of time whilst Watson goes and pulls away. So he's just really concentrating on getting track position. Very much a confident circuit there, so it's much easier to be following than to be leading, because you want to be if you're holding back at 60%, then you're not going to have much pace whatsoever, whereas Watson will not be caring about the potential losses. He'll be thinking about the gains, and this could be a big gain going into Graham Hill Pen, but great driving there from Numantis. Okay, good speed on the outside, left room on the apex though, but this is the start of them losing time to the drivers behind.
Exactly, so this is what we want to see. 2 drivers vying for their first win in the championship, their first win in the digital motorsports. And here comes Andrew Watson on the outside down the hill. He's got the overspeed. I think he's already ahead of Numantis. I think Numantis nearly lifted off there with a terrible exit, but now Andrew Watson leads. And he got ahead without too much battling, which is exactly what he wanted. And in the background, you can just see Adrian Campfield rounding that right-hander. There he is. He's on the back of Peter McCann now as they come through. This is for the lead in the pro class. Peter McCann is leading the pro class at the moment, but coming through at the top of hill into Sheen and into Surtees for the 9th time. It's only a matter of time, I think, before Campfield makes the move. But now Watson is clear. Can Numantis mount a charge? Because Watson looked like he had the pace. Can he drive away? Because he needs to drive away quickly, because when Campfield gets past, it's going to be very, 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 very tight indeed. But this is all this. I think Peter is also kind of helping the guys out front, because he's kind of holding up Adrian at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is. Adrian is by far the faster driver. Just thinking, so he's still 8 places ahead. Well, Mac has just gained another place there, so he's outscoring his rival a bit. But here comes this 3rd position move, and Campfield moves past. That was easy enough. So he's now got 3.6 seconds. Remember, that gap was over 6 seconds at one point. So I think Campfield will fancy his chances from here. He's still got over half the race remaining. So he should have time to catch up, but he's got to really hurry up about it. Ingram with a very quick lap that last time up, day 1.01. That's pretty much faster than anyone else on circuit, apart from maybe Niall Murray, who's just sitting behind him at the moment. So those guys are making very good progress. So McCann's in a tricky spot here, because he's got 3 or 4 very quick drivers behind him, and now Ingram moves up into 4th position. So hopefully we finally see Tom on the podium, because he's come close a number of times. I think you'll have to rely on something happening ahead though for that to happen.
I think so. I think it's arguably one of Tom's best drives in the championship, the most consistent drive we've seen. Good qualifying, good finish in heat race 1 and on for a good finish in heat race 2 as Niall Murray's off the road in the background, gets it back going again. Niall, of course, drove around here in the Formula Ford Festival, the Walter Hayes Trophy, so he's used to this circuit as well, but not used to a GT4 car. He's circling around there in the background, just in 7th place, getting caught a little bit by Marchenkovic, who's in 8th place, who won last week, don't forget. Then we have Adam Dowling, Keith Robin, Oscar Mangan's recovered back to 11th now. So on the verge of a top 10 again. There's the lap times. Andrew Watson 131.0, iRacing Mans 131.1, Adrian Canfield 130.8. So it's the times are close. So it's only 0.2 of a second between them. So Canfield's really got to push if he wants to get this one, because Watson at the moment is doing enough to secure this win unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah, at the moment he is doing enough. Canfield doesn't have a whole lot more pace than that either. That was only 0.2 slower than his best lap. However, Watson and Jumantis pretty much matching their best laps on that last. It was Jumantis' best lap on that last tour. So maybe there's a little bit more improvement for Canfield as McManus is off the circuit. I am seeing he's back on the circuit though now. So I think he's remained in 15th place. I think that was an attempted move on Stevens. So he has now just lost out to Series, who remember was in that lead battle earlier on in the event. Also got Keith Rabbit being caught by Oscar Mangan. I imagine this will be pretty easy for Mangan to get past. That will be for 10th position, and just recovering as many points as he possibly can is Mangan at the moment. Kundalis has also just got past McCann, and yeah, there goes Mangan. But yeah, Kundalis ahead of McCann now, so that's really strong for the amateur class leader.
Yeah, good stuff from Condelis there. And now we come across the line, start lap 12. It's still Watson, Jumantis, Campfield. 130.8 for Watson. That time is a good lap time, Watson. But there, Campfield, 130.3 sets the fastest lap of the race. That's extremely good. It's half a second quicker than our leader. So he needs to keep that pace up if he wants to catch. He's 2.6 seconds back at the moment. It's enough to catch Jumantis, but it might just not be enough to catch our leader, Watson. So Campfield needs to sustain the pace, and that's what's crucial here.
Yeah, you can't afford to have a single bad lap. We've got 8 laps to go, including this one. And if Campfield continues at this race, he will easily catch up. Also saw Jumantis pretty much let Watson pass, didn't we? You kind of lifted off at this part of the circuit, which I imagine Campfield will be praying that Jumantis puts up a fight. But I almost feel as though Campfield's going to have very little resistance against the guy currently occupying second place. So that's going to be a massive important factor as to who comes out on top in this event. Just seeing, getting very close to one another now is Murray and Marchenkovic, who are both extremely fast drivers. Murray with the fast lap of the race earlier on, I believe, in this race. And Marchenkovic, of course, won last time out at Donington. This could easily be a battle for the lead. Certainly should be a battle for the podium. Instead, it's for 7th and 8th place. They evenly matched these two.
Yep, so Murray now trying to fend off last week's winner as they come through across the line. Personal best lap from Andrew Watson. What's the time from Campfield now? 130.4. It's another 0.4 of a second. These are extremely consistent, quick laps from Adrian Campfield. Another 0.4 gain on our race leader. And it's not like Andrew Watson, but how about that from Oscar Mangan? 130.1, and he's in 10th place, and he's gaining. And there he is, actually. There's Oscar Mangan in the background. We're just looking at the battle between Murray and Marchenkovic. Well, Oscar Mangan is in 10th place, gaining fast on Adam Dowling. And it could potentially be a 7th place finish, potentially 6th place for Mangan if he keeps up this pace and recovers again. It seems he always has to do some recovery drive in the feature, and he seems to enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, his best chance of the double was back at Silverstone, where he was fended off by his rival for pretty much the final 3 laps of the race. Was an exceptional round of the season, that. And then, of course, yeah, Donington, I'm sure he will get the double at some point. Montero's off the track, and he drops to 22nd place now. Thus, Montero just drops behind Malone and Graben.
A bit unfortunate from there. Now we go back to Tom Ingram, who's holding on to 4th place, 2nd place in Pro. Gets a little bit squirrely on the brakes. He's getting caught by Arturas Kundelis, who's been right on his tail for a while. That's Peter McCann in the background, who's dropping into the clutches of Niall Murray. So this 4th place battle actually Mangan's not far off it, dare I say. So if they continue the battle, because Mangan's got extremely fast pace, if they continue the battle, he could potentially catch them. Now, crucially, what's the lap time? 1:30.6, another 2/10 this time. Humantas matches our leader, but Campfield still gaining time ever so slightly each time. And we've lapped 14 of 20. Again, another 1 minute 30.1. Here comes Candelas on Ingram around the outside. But again, Ingram holds the karting line on the inside of Druids. There's not much you can do about that when you come through. Mangan and gets Adam Dowling into Druids. So Mangan is flying. That's 9th place. And another fastest lap in a row, which is another 7/10 quicker than our leaders out front. What could have been for Mangan. Not quite able to do the double yet. And with another 2 rounds left on the calendar, let's see if he can eventually do it. So having his problems in this feature race, recovering to 9th, potentially 4th, could be on the cards if they continue the battle. We look back and now with Brian McManus and Kyle Stevens, who were up in the top 5 in race number 1 and have had a pretty terrible race. McManus in the championship, this is really going to hurt him.
Yeah, this is not the result he needed. McManus, when did he start in this race, as he should get past Carl Stevens here? Well, Stevens put up much of a defence, does just peel back behind. So McManus, of course, finished in 21st place in race 1. So you just wonder, if he got 20th in race 1, how much different this race would be as Humantas lets past Campfield. That's awful news for Watson. Super, this is smart driving from Humantas. He should be able to get a podium. He was never going to keep Campfield behind him for the rest of the race, and now he sends him off potentially for the chase down on the race here. But Watson now with a 30.55, he's just got faster and faster on these past few laps. He's now 2.3 seconds ahead with 6 laps to go. So he needs to start gaining by about 0.4 of a second a lap for Campfield, which is that's a tall ask.
It is a tall ask, especially with Watson's being consistent as well. He's responding to the pace of Adrian Campfield, but Campfield needs to push flat out now for these last 6 laps to try and secure his 2nd win in digital motorsports. He won a race at the very last round of the TCR Championship last season. Hasn't won yet in the GT4 class. So let's see if he can try and wrestle that off Andrew Watson. And Watson's going for his first win as well. So we might see 2 different winners of the feature race in 3 different rounds. Actually, 3 different winners in 3 different rounds. Could be interesting. Andrew Watson, who, remember, in Heat Race 1 gained 36 places, and that has put him right up at the sharp end of the field right now, leading this race with 5 laps to go when we come across the line. It's Watson, Campfield, Humantas, Tom Ingram, Arturas Candelas, McCann, Marchenkovas now just nips in front of Niall Murray. Oscar Mangan is 9th and still circulating. Adam Dowling is 10th, and Martin, Rabbit, McManus, Stevens, O'Shea, McGovern, Bernie, Series, Graben and Malone are your top 20. Across the line, Andrew Watson flashing his lights, letting Dermot Toomey know that he is not far off the back of him. And let's see the lap time, 1 minute 30, identical times. So Campfield's not catching, and I think at this rate it needs to be a mistake from Andrew Watson if Campfield wants this.
Yeah, the pace is kind of just neutralised, hasn't it? Campfield hasn't got any slower necessarily, but Watson's just got faster. Also getting very overcast now. It's not going to make much of a difference to the track temperature immediately, but it might drop the track temperature by a degree or towards the end of this race, which of course is going to improve for these drivers. Just feels like there's probably one mistake in Watson, isn't there? Maybe like a half a second mistake. And if he does make that mistake now, then I think that could really turn the tables, because he's got the manage at the moment, but all Campfield needs is just a drop of blood, and that could perhaps quench his or reinvigorate his driving, and to catch up, and of course that will knock Watson's confidence as well. So these next couple of laps absolutely huge for the race leader to try to maintain that gap for as long as possible. As you were saying before, Marchenkovas moved ahead of Murray. Mangan now moves ahead of Murray as well. Murray really struggling. At last lap he lost 2 seconds. Also had a small off track, I imagine. There he is down into Nato. Maybe a slowdown actually is a potential as well. Marchenkovas now right onto the back of McCann. McCann doing a terrific job, by the way, in 6th place. Maybe he was fighting for the lead earlier on, I believe. Quite far away from that now as the sun comes back out here at Brands Hatch, but he's still doing a very good job in 6th place, and might still be able to get a top 7 out of this.
Yeah, here we go with Marchenkovas on the back of McCann, and now on the brakes. McCann holds the inside, just an update on the leader. Campfield took 7/10 of a second out of Watson that time, a 1:30.3 and a 1:31 dead for Watson that time, I think it was. So Campfield has opened up the pace. He's now starting to push. Marchenkovic now with McCann ahead of him. Peter's doing an amazing job there in 6th place, and now trying to fend off feature race winner from last week, and Oscar Mangan is right in his mirrors as well. So Oscar Mangan is on course. There he is. There's Oscar Mangan right behind him, the championship leader, and on course again for another good finish. Remember, even though he's in 8th place, he still started in 20th place, so it's still a really good drive from Oscar. Now towards the second part of the double right-hander. McCann trying to hold off. Marchenko was heading on to lap 18 of 20 with 5 minutes left on the clock. It's going to be tight that we get the 20 laps. I think we're just about going to get it. And coming through, McCann's a touch wide, but Mangan's right with them now, firmly on the rear bumper. And we'll see if Mangan can maybe gain 6th place, which would be another great result for the Irishman heading towards the last corner. Let's all have a look at the all-crucial lap times. Watson crosses the line. What is his time? It's 1:31.5. 1:30.7. Adrian Campfield, 8/10 of a second. Campfield is flying. Watson is starting to falter a little bit, and a personal best from Tom Ingram as well, as he now starts to catch up as well. But Campfield is closing, and he's taking almost 8/10 of a second out of him. Can he catch Andrew Watson with just 2 laps to go? It's going to be tight, but there he is. There's not a lot of time left, so he has to catch him, and then he has to pass him, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah, the passing is going to be the most difficult part of all of this, but he's taking a couple of tenths as well out on this lap as Campfield. Watson was so good, wasn't he? He got himself into the 30s. He probably set about 3 consecutive 1-minute 30s, and all of a sudden a 31.8 and 31.5. So really derailed his progress. I said how these next couple of laps would be absolutely pivotal, and unfortunately Watson's just faltered, seemingly maybe just losing a bit of confidence up there, maybe seeing the checker flag come up and a bit scared of making a mistake. But it looks like though Campfield will catch him. Will he be able to pass him? Better middle part of this lap though for Watson. He's maintained the gap at about 9/10 of a second. 2 laps to go. And Campfield will probably only have about 1 lap in order to overtake, I imagine.
Exactly, so we come across the line with just 2 laps left. The battle for the lead. Andrew Watson trying to hold on here as he comes across the line. 1:30.5, 1:30.3. So personal best from Andrew Watson and a personal best from Campfield. So they're still very, very close. They're flying. The pace is extremely, extremely good from these guys. And just now, we see Campfield close to within about 7/10 of a second now as he comes through. But is it enough to he needs to make an overtake, of course, and that's going to another thing. Mangan makes the position for 6th place, so Mangan recovers to 6th, and Marchenkovic also goes through, and McCann, no, Peter's in the wall in Druids. What a shame for Peter, who was running so well up inside, firmly in the top 10. He's going to give Jess Martin that top 10. He drops just outside of it. What a shame for Peter, who was doing so well.
He was defending awesomely, wasn't he? And that would have been a points haul for McCann, but still 11th place, not too bad. He's very fortunate from that position. Often that can risk you losing many more places than just the 4 that he did. So still a decent 11th place. Martin up into 10th, and of course 2nd place out of the amateur drivers. Ingram still being pressured by Kundalis, who did gain another 10th of a second on that last lap. But as we are about to move on to the final lap of the race, 3/4 of a second, it's not 3/4 of a second, apologies, 4/10 of a second between the top 2. But Campfield isn't close enough, I think, for a move into Druids, which is his main overtaking opportunity. So he should catch, I think, midway through this next lap, but there's very few overtaking opportunities left for him.
There we go, the white flag's in the air. It's a 1:30.4 for Adrian Campfield. He's within touching distance of the win from 19th on the grid. Can Campfield do it? Watson's trying his best to hold on for his first ever win in the championship as well. Down the hill into the Graham Hill bend. Can he hold on? Campfield's still close enough, but there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. He needs to be pretty much making the move down at the end of this straight right here. He needs the run. Watson is a touch wide, and Campfield's got the run. Here we go down towards the bottom of the hill. Campfield tucks into the slipstream, moves to the outside line. This is it for the feature race win. Watson's going to try and hold on. Campfield's going to have a go on the outside, but Watson defends. Now with the cutback, Campfield back up underneath, but he's not able to get up alongside. Watson defends the inside line. Now into the right-hander. Watson's still ahead, with just half a lap left to go. Campfield looking for backup underneath, but he's not quite close enough. Has Watson done enough? We'll try and figure it out. Up towards Sheen Curve, into Surtees for the last time. Watson's wide. There's a car spinning there. That's Rob O'Neill just spinning off the road there. Now towards the last corner. One more opportunity. Campfield's got a good run again, heading towards the last corner. Is he going to be able to come alongside? I don't think so. He's looking, but Watson, I think, has just about done enough. Brilliant stuff as they come through the last corner for his first win in the championship. Andrew Watson fends off Adrian Campfield and wins in Brands Hatch. Adrian Campfield comes to second and Arias Yamantas comes to third. What a drive from Andrew Watson for his first win. And Tom Ingram fends off Arturas Kondelis for fourth place as well. Oscar Mangan, Marchenkovic, Niall Murray, Adam Dowling and Jess Martin. What a drive from Andrew Watson. He fended off, he defended so brilliantly there, and he wins, and thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, his heart must have been absolutely fluttering right at the end there. That was absolutely remarkable finish to the race. Did well not to make a mistake for those final few corners. That's all he needed to do, and Campfield just couldn't find a way past one more lap. I think we may well have seen a change for the lead, but it's still good points for Campfield. Hasn't won a race so far this season, but very much strengthens that second place in the championship.
Yeah, great drive from Campfield from 19th on the grid. And a first podium as well for Arias Yamantas as well. They don't have to take that away from the Lithuanian in third place. And Tom Ingram with, I think, his best result as well, fourth place for the BTCC driver. And that'll be second in the pro class as well. So that's technically a podium for Tom Ingram. And Oscar Mangan in sixth place. Arturas Kondelis wins the Pro-Am class. Jess Martin is second. And Rory O'Shea on the third place for the Pro-Am. Now, of course, that doesn't really mean much because there is no class split in the championship, but yes, a fantastic drive from Andrew Watson, a great drive from Adrian Campfield. He literally threw everything at Andrew Watson, but he just couldn't do enough. And Yamantas, I think, was just trying to secure that podium and just backed off and made sure he was able to hold on for that one. But a brilliant drive, but even with that, even with Andrew Watson's win, I still have to give my driver of the day to Sergio Grabban.
I don't think anyone was really questioning that, to be honest, Jack. It was an exceptional drive from Grabban. Don't even know what happened to him in that race, but well, maybe you should try the bonnet up thing a little bit more.
Well, here's your official results. By 0.2 of a second, Andrew Watson wins the feature race here in Brands Hatch. Adrian Campfield right behind him in second place. Arias Yamantas is third. Tom Ingram in fourth place with a great result. We'll hear from Tom shortly in the interviews. Arturas Kondelis, Oscar Mangan, Valentinas Marchenkovic, seventh place. Another good result for Valentinas after the win last week. Niall Murray inside the top 10. Good result from Niall. Adam Dowling and Jess Martin in 10th place. Peter McCann and Brian McManus. Then Kyle Stevens, Rory O'Shea, Keith Rabbit, and then Harry McGovern, Mark Givney, and there is Sergey in 18th place on this field. Ian Malone, Pat Masterson, Simon Ramsire, Thomas Series, João Monteiro, Dennis Melcher, Ronan Hederman, Aaron Kerry, Rob O'Neill, Diarmuid Toomey, 28th and a lap down. And further down the order then we'll have Michael McCarthy, Dave Collier, Gavin Culdity, Tony Stack, Dave Maguire, Lewis Ward. What a shame for Lewis, who was of course involved in an incident with David Maguire, who was just ahead of him. Andrew Hopley, what could have been for Andrew Hopley? We saw how quick he was. Willie Pigeon, Barry Barble, Rob Moore, James Wingfield, Jack Byrne, Liam Atkins, Nathan Healy, Pascale De Lucia, Andrew Perto and Wayne Douglas are the non-finishers for today. What a shame for those guys. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to want to hear from our race victors, our top three. So let's hear from, I think, is going to be an ecstatic Andrew Watson first. Let's drag Andrew in here and hear what he has to say.
Back, Mark.
Andrew, sorry to drag you out mid-conversation. Welcome to the commentary box. What a win. You were under severe pressure from Adrian. Did you even expect to be getting the win today?
Not after I did a track limits in qualifying. I didn't actually know that wouldn't count, but that was so fun. I was just saying that my heart was absolutely pounding. It was feeling it.
Yeah, we certainly saw that from up here. But talk to us about Heat Race 1, because you were the biggest mover in the grid, 36 places gained. How did you manage that?
Just lucky, to be honest. Picked the right side of the track 2 or 3 times, and yeah, I got through. And then, to be fair, like everybody I raced with, like everyone gave each other room, and to be honest, that was more than I was expecting. So yeah, I was really impressed by the how everyone was driving out there. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and of course the last lap. So how does it finally feel to of course you must have been seeing the gap box and seeing Adrian close in. So how does it feel having fended off Adrian and finally grabbing that win?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, another lap and he might have had me, but yeah, no, it was brilliant. So what an amazing! This is my first event, and how well it's run. It's amazing. So I look forward to a few more.
And how are you enjoying the championship overall? How are you enjoying the GT cars?
Yeah, good. I mean, I did some coaching with some guys in real life GT4 cars last year, so amazingly the same stuff applies. So I think that helped me a bit.
Good stuff. So thanks for chatting with us, Andrew. Just before you go, is there anyone you'd like to say a quick thank you to?
Niall Murray at Murray Motorsport for hooking me up with my sim.
Good stuff. Thanks a million, Andrew. Fantastic debut for you. Well done on the win. Hopefully we'll see you back at the podium next week.
Thanks, bye.
So a very, very happy Andrew Watson. I didn't actually know it was his debut. How good can it get? But Sam, I think we have Adrian Campfield now.
Yes, we've got Adrian Campfield in the comms box. Congratulations, Adrian. A couple of second places. Pretty good.
Yeah, I am over the moon with that. The aim of this round was to try and keep up with Oscar in the first race. He's been so fast. He's just very, very quick in the first 3 or 4 laps, and I couldn't keep up with him. And then once my tyres were up, I was there. I could stay with him. So I knew for race 2 that I had good pace. And yeah, it was brilliant to drive all the way through the field, and I only had 1 incident point. So yeah, I was dead chuffed with that. Nearly got there on the last lap. Hopefully that was quite entertaining for you guys on the stream. But yeah, no, it was a great couple of races.
It certainly was absolutely fantastic to watch your chase down. I mean, as you say, way closer today to Oscar. So thanks for that, because these race ones for the race win have been a little bit dull so far this season. I mean, how have you improved? What areas would you say you've kind of found some extra pace to be able to take the challenge to Oscar?
Well, it's funny you say that. The last 2 or 3 races, I know I've been pretty quick in testing, but it's sort of a bit of a mental block when I get to qualifying in the races and I start driving a bit differently. So this week I've just tried to just say, right, just relax, just treat it as practice. Don't get stressed about it. And then yeah, it seems to have worked. So I'll just adopt that now for the next few rounds, and hopefully we carry on with this sort of pace. So yeah, it's great. But a great fair racing with Andrew at the end there. It's great to have him in the league. Yeah, it was a good race.
When you were chasing when you're chasing Andrew down in those closing stages, do you have the F3 screen up? Do you pay a lot of attention to the laps and the gap? What's kind of your strategy when it comes to that?
I just used the little box on the right in the bottom of iRacing, and I just got a button mapped on my steering wheel to tell me to flick through the channels. So I was just watching it the whole time so I could see the gap, and he made a mistake on the second to last lap and he just ran off through is it Dingledale, the right-hander over the curb, but I happened to run in too hot exactly the same lap, so I couldn't quite get there. Otherwise I'd have been there a lap early. But yeah, I just had the little box on and I flicked through the channels on there. I am planning to get a 4th screen, but that's not on the agenda right now.
Yeah, not quite. We've got a couple more rounds of the championship to go. You went into this round of the championship a little bit further down the order. You'll easily be in the top 10, might even be in the top 5 after this round. Any goals in these final couple of races?
Well, the first round I got wiped out completely in the race 1, and then so I thought, right, well, I'll just use round 1 as a drop round. So as long as I keep going as I am, and I've got to try and beat Oscar or be near Oscar in both races each round, and I should, with the drop rounds, be right there at the end. So the aim is to just keep chipping away, getting the race 2s in front of Oscar, and then hopefully right at the end I should be there with the drop round.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for that, Adrian. Before I let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Just Vulcan sim racing, really. They, my skin's not quite there, but I joined with those guys. They've been very helpful. It's nice to have a team to race for. So just all the guys at Vulcan, really, Stephen Leahy and everyone there. So yeah, just thanks to them, and just hope everyone's doing well and keeping safe still. We'll soon hopefully be all back racing for real again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having a chat with us, Adrian, and hope to see you back very soon on Apex Racing TV.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so a very happy Adrian Campfield joining us there. And now, I think for the first time, we're going to drag out Arius Humantis. Arius, sorry if we dragged you out in the middle of a conversation there, but finally, a podium for you. You must be really delighted with that result.
Yes, I am. It's my first podium in the digital motorsports, you know. Through all the series, I've raced Formula 3 and the Audi TCR, but I haven't really gotten up top on the podium.
Yeah, it's a fantastic result for you. So just talk to us there. Of course, you were battling hard with Andrew, and then when Adrian caught you, did you decide to just lift off and let him through because you knew you could get the podium, or did you just make a little mistake, or were you trying to follow Adrian up towards and try and maybe catch Andrew up front?
I let off just because I knew that, I mean, he's faster than me, so it'd be better to try to keep up with him and like follow through instead of maybe pushing myself to the limit and maybe make a mistake.
And of course, we know you've been around in digital motorsports and previously VRA for a while now in the previous championship. How does it finally feel to get on that podium after so long?
It feels amazing. I was definitely nervous. Nervous the first couple of laps, driving in first position, just trying not to make a mistake. But it just feels great now that I've made it at least on the podium.
Yeah, and we head to Snetterton next week. So are you feeling confident going into that one? Do you think you can maybe go a little bit better there?
Probably. Definitely with some practice, I do think I can maybe get on the podium again, and with some luck.
Brilliant stuff. So, Arius, thanks for joining us. Just a quick one before you leave. Is there anyone you'd like to say thank you to?
I mean, mostly my dad, because he's the one who brought all my gear, and he's made me sort of like push myself to actually try to get good at iRacing and like also other racing games.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for joining us, Arius. Well done on the podium. Hopefully we'll see you back in here very shortly.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think nearly a year in the making for Arius there. Finally gets the podium. But I think finally our resident, the man who always likes to talk with us, Sam. We have Tom Ingram finally.
Yes.
Hello.
Great to have Tom in here once again. Tom, honestly, it was as though I was living a dream earlier on, because in race 1, you weren't starting right from the back of the order. You were at the front of both races the whole time, which I don't think has ever happened before. Talk us through your qualifying and your race 1.
I know what it felt bizarre. It felt truly bizarre. I didn't know what to do.
Bizarre to us.
I was getting all lightheaded. I was that far up. What happened? I mean, I lost internet. Honestly, I lost internet, so I've only had about maybe 10 laps, maybe not even that of testing. So I kind of jumped into it really out of my depth, really. So I think sometimes it just forces you to concentrate a little bit harder. But yeah, I lost internet. I had to completely reboot my router about 5 minutes before qualifying, and then again before the first race and again before the second race. So yeah, it all felt very chaotic and very stressful, and I am absolutely sweating my whatnots off because it's about 1 billion degrees in this room now after that.
We saw you glitching in and out actually a lot during particularly race 1, and I think a bit at the start of race 2. Did you realise that you were glitching out compared to everyone else?
Yeah, well, I had my little thingy up in the corner. I don't know what it's called, but you know what I mean. My thingy that tells me my all the bars and what have you. And that was saying the queue was in like the red, so I knew that was not fantastic. And I had somebody message me before the race started actually say you're glitching. I was like, oh no! So I had to have a mad. I think I joined the grid for that second race. I had to completely turn everything off, turn it all back on again, and I think I joined the race with about 15 seconds to spare. And then it was like, go, go, go. Like, panic, first lap, where do I go? But it was very surprising, actually, to get 2 very strong results this weekend, or this weekend, tonight. And I think, what were we, 6th in the first race and 4th in that one? So, yeah, I'm really chuffed with that, actually. Really, really chuffed.
Looked like he had a really good battle with Kundalis in that second race. I mean, you two seem to be glued to one another for pretty much the second half of the race. Did he ever get close to overtaking you? Because it was 1/10 of a second across the line.
Yeah, I think it was close all the way. I was we were allowed 16 X's on that race. I used 16 of them. I thought I've got to try and hold something back. It was, I think after about lap 10, I was on about 14. I thought, blimey, I need to try and hold something back here. But he had me on my toes, and I was under pressure the whole way. And I knew if I made one mistake, he was going to throw it up the inside and be gone. Because I think he was quicker than me, if truth be told. I was kind of holding him up, but I saw when Adrian came up behind me, he's super quick. So I wasn't too fussed to try and hold him back. I was happy to let him go and thought I might be able to latch onto the back of him and see if he can take me forwards. But unfortunately, he was just a little bit too fast for me. But really good race, really enjoyable. Again, fantastically well run event, as these always are. And I've had great fun.
Absolutely. It was great fun for us as well watching you today, Tom. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we say goodbye?
Thank you. I mean, both of you guys, as you know, all you guys do a fantastic job, and of course Nal and all the guys at Digital Motorsport, as always, do a fantastic job. And all the guys again supporting me at home. Big thank you to everyone, and see you back next week. Are we Snetterton next week?
Yes,
We
I
are.
think so.
Yep.
Wonderful. Like a bit of Snetterton. Are we on the 300 or the 200?
The 300.
Oh, fantastic. Right, I'm all up for that. Sounds great. See you later, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. We'll see you next week.
See you later, guys.
Always great to chat with Tom. He's a
Yep.
character, but he's we're just waiting for him to get that win, because I think it could be possibly one of the most amped up interviews you'll ever hear. But yeah, so we know now that we have another new winner in Andrew Watson in his debut race. Of all that, like that's incredible for him. And we head, of course, as we just mentioned there, to Snetterton, the 300 layout next week, which is the second to last round of the championship. So the full 300 layout. We used the 200 in the TCR Cup last time, so we're using the full layout this time. So it should prove for some interesting action. But we would normally ask each other what our driver of the day is now, but I think the chat can agree and everyone can agree that it was Sergio Grabban. There's absolutely no argument there. Sam, I think I can agree.
Absolutely. It's fantastic as well that he's changed his middle name to Bonnet as well. Really committing himself to the cause. But no, yeah, brilliant drive from him. Plenty of great drives, to be fair, all the way down the order. I think saw a little bit of confusion, didn't we, at the start of race 1 and maybe a couple of collisions in race 2. But on the most part, the driving once again very good. I think these guys are getting more and more confident with the GT4s. Remember, there was I don't think there was even a break week, was there, between the TCR series and the GT4 series? So these guys are still very much learning this car. I think they're rapidly improving. I think that's just going to make this season even more competitive for the final couple of rounds.
Exactly. So we are going to leave it off there. So Sam, thank you very much for joining me as always. Thanks to Samuel for providing the camera shots of Sergey Bonnet Grabban, he's now going to be referred to, as we now head to Snetterton next week at the exact same time, live on the iRacing Esports Network. We hope to see you there. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with all the action. The Digital Motorsports Porsche Cayman Cup in association with Porsche Centre Dublin. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next week at 8 p.m. UK time for the round number 4 of the Porsche Cayman Cup. Thank you, and good night.